Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the thick of it here with a great matchup between Team Margot Robbie and Team Blax of the Legend. Margot Robbie and squad taking game one pretty emphatically. So Blax the Legend and company will need to figure out their way back into this, whether it's a new draft strategy, whether maybe it's new items, because I know we were talking about some of the things that Blax was trying to cook up, and we were questioning some of those item choices. They might have to make some better decisions with their gold in this upcoming match. I believe we do have the draft available, but not any thoughts for you while we get that draft going.
Yeah, don't build Plasma Blade on Kira. That's my main thought. I went to make sure I wasn't delusional. Yeah, Kira does not have any magic skillings. You are just throwing away gold value on that item. And there's so many better first items on Kira, right? Like we were talking about, like the Solaris has been a bit more of an interesting one. The Vanquisher, obviously a classic, is very good. So, tried to cook, maybe burn down the kitchen in the process. Maybe, maybe roll a black, play something a little bit more standard right there. And Team Margot Robbie just banning out the steal to start, which I'm not surprised about, right? Obviously, the performance wasn't there last game, but God, can it be annoying?
Yeah, I mean, one of the best characters in the game. That's why he is the poster boy, right, of predecessor. Just because of all the lockdown, the bull rush, the shield slap, the shield slam, everything in the arsenal. But yeah, it's actually interesting that Margot Robbie bans out the steal because they just absolutely ran train on D-Dog in the off lane on that character. But on the flip side, Team Blax once again banning out the Fang Mao. They do not want sports are cool on this character whatsoever.
No, they do not. And I'm not surprised, obviously, if you're getting run down on the Terra and now they're banning out the other like the tank that you're supposed to be playing, having to see Fang Mao would, I think, put anyone in a coma. So not too surprised to see that banned out. I imagine we see some sort of flex on that first pick. Potentially that's the Richter again. No, we're gonna see the Severog instead locked in here for Team Margot Robbie.
Okay, a good, not necessarily a flex. I mean, Severog can really only do what, jungle or off lane. I've been seeing him a lot in the off lane recently,
Yeah.
but I think it kind of shows their hand and what they're looking to do. They want to take this game a little bit more slowly. They want to kind of take it into the late game aspects. So I'm looking to see how Team Blax responds to that opening pick.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Severog definitely scales, but I think with the more recent items, he's become a lot more of this tempo pick, right? Not so great in the early game, but starts actually picking up steam a lot earlier than the late game, right? Can become very strong in that mid game once you hit that 1 and 2 item spike. And you follow up on teammates really well, right? You facilitate really well in the mid game, right? Being able to land that root, being able to knock them back with that mighty blow is really strong, right? You just take the hammer, you throw everyone back. While they're knocked up, they can't react, they can't do anything. And once they land, if any of your carries are caught in that, it's very easy to pick them off.
Yeah, and if you have a good time subjugate, you can even lock him down further. If you got a Decker, right, as the pick comes through, you can lock him into the containment fence or hit him with the bomb. All of the tools in the world. But I do want to talk about Team Blax. They pick up the Fae once again, showing their hand. But they pick up the Zinx here too, which will be in the support role. I do like the kit that Zinx has to offer. Has some lockdown, has some damage, has the neuroregenesis, which I believe is really cool. But the flip side, the Decker going here for Margot Robbie and squad. I mean, that you have to ban them or you have to pick them. So I think a missed opportunity there for Blax to not get the Decker.
Yeah, and a pickup there with the Decker, also picking up the Wraith, right? And that is definitely one of those flex picks, right? Can either be carry or mid. We've seen it a lot more mid than carry, but it still is a very viable carry pick, right? Obviously, a lot better on the higher ranked players. Wraith is sort of a character you sort of have to have a lot of games on to really understand fully to be able to maximize that potential. If you don't know what you're doing, it's very easy to get caught. It's also very easy to just not do any damage on the character, right? You're so reliant on hitting those skill shots. If you miss your first one especially, right, the one that gives you the reset off of that Q, you just don't have damage for another 10 seconds. You're just not doing anything. So you kind of need to know what you're doing. And the Drongo responded right back.
Yeah, Drongo, a really good pickup. Curious from Team Blacks as they banned out the Twin Blast, so maybe they don't think that the Wraith is going to be the carry. They think the Wraith is going mid, so they're just trying to get some carry picks for themselves to just limit that pool once more. We do see the Reptilian Gladiator and Zarus get banned out here. He wasn't picked or banned in the last one, so this is just an interesting toss out there for the side of Team Margot Robbie, but a good one nonetheless.
Yeah, and I don't hate the Twin Blast ban, because I don't think there's a ton of crazy bans that you have. I think the rest of the team comp can be very flexible for Team Margot Robbie, so I think it's really just forcing the Wraith to go carry,
Hmm.
which the Drongo is very good into, right? Because obviously Margot Robbie does play a lot of the Wraith, right? It's the second most played right next to the Twin Blast. But if you ban out the Twin Blast, you're saying, okay, you're going to play Wraith, you're going to be forced into this rough matchup, and we're going to try and play around the rest of your draft knowing that. Hilari, definitely an interesting blind jungle, though, with what I was just saying, right? Thinking about being able to play around the rest of your drafts. Kind of really showing your hand, right? Knowing that you really have to be able to get those picks, because if you're not, your team is way too squishy. You're going to get run over by this Decker, by this Wraith, by the Sevarog that just have so much CC and range damage.
This is going to be guerrilla warfare here for the side of Team Blacks because they're really going for like a pit comp. They are not going to want to do big team fights because there's no front line here. The response, though, from Margot Robbie is the crunch. Once again, Dino, however you want to say it, but doing a really good job there setting that tempo on the boxing robot. And then the Gideon as the final pickup. So the Wraith will be in that carry role.
Yeah, pretty much confirms it. I doubt they're going to do any weird shenanigans. And this is what I really like with the crunch, right? Doubling down on their already strong identity, right? Team Margot Robbie. And then also you have the Gideon for team fights, but Team Margot Robbie aren't a massive quote-unquote team fight comp that you would call them. What they are really good at, though, is getting skirmishes off and getting early picks, right? Early ganks as well. The crunch lock up into a stun, really good for the Gideon, right? Really, a lot of Gideon's early power, especially in ganks, is when someone's locked down, you're able to throw out your RMB, you're able to throw out your Q, and the burst combined just does so much damage. Same thing with the Wraith, right? If you're able to land a stun with that crunch, you land it into a stasis bomb, you land it into a knock, and people just go down so quickly. And for Team Blacks, I think it's going to be a lot harder to survive that given how squishy their team comp is, and how reliant they are on picks, especially with Polari. But I've said my piece. Let us get into game, which I've just been told is ready.
All right, folks, we're hopping into it. Yeah, I think my biggest thing is where's really the lockdown here for the side of Blacks the Legend? Really, it's just the fly trap. They do have the ricochet coming out from the Zinks, but it's going to be tough to kind of really put somebody down and send them back to the fountain. So we'll see if Blacks can get something done with this composition. Definitely an unorthodox one by all accounts. I'm really liking what Margot Robbie and company put out here. I think that's a really well thought out draft. We'll see if they can get those early picks like you were mentioning and snowball this into another victory.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, another thing I like about the crunch and the Gideon is those last two picks is knowing how reliant this team is on just raw damage and being able to pick mobility and range, right? So since you can't lock them down, if they play that range, if they play their mobility, it's going to be very hard to just land that damage that you have a lot of. But if you can't catch people, if you can't, stick them in place, it's going to be really hard to get it down. D-Dog, though, already.
Oh my gosh, pressing the W key maybe just a little too much there, not respecting the colossal hammer, being able to smack into him. Yeah, the first blood easily goes the way of Margot Robbie once again on the back of D-Dog's death.
Yeah, and I don't know, I was talking over, I expected, a blink. I wasn't expecting another first blood. I thought he would have learned from his mistakes the first time, but W keying once again and already going down.
So on the back foot early here is Team Blacks, the Legend. I think D-Dog needs to play more passively. Wait for the level 6 to come up and then come and pick your battles. Right now, the Ricochet coming through here for Blacks, who is on the support role this time. So they've changed it up in terms of the personnel.
Yeah, clearly things not working out last time, so just want to make a bit of a change. A blink there from Tricky Nicky, who knows how dangerous it can be if you get caught out by that crunch, so doesn't want to take any risk.
There is the bomb coming through from Ferguson, laying into Blax the Legend once again. That's going to be tough to heal up, but you already seeing it there, folks. The combination that they're looking for, right? It's the stasis bomb into the bomb from the Wraith, and then into a knock to finish them off. So you'll see that one come to fruition, I'm sure, very soon. For now, BN Bears kind of doing their little jungle clears and looking for a pick. Another blink expended here for the side of Team Blax the Legend, but it is Monarch now who's going to be caught in a rock and a hard place. Can Ferguson take him down? It just needs to land maybe one knock or two. The boomerang does come through, and there is a blink expended. That's 2 blinks gone here in the duo lane.
Yeah, and Ferguson barely missing out on that first snipe onto the Decker, who was barely out of range, and missing out that second snipe. A really nice sidestep there from the Drongo. Just to guarantee that. So I'd say benefit definitely goes to the Wraith in this situation. I think it does definitely go to Ferguson because they have priority on the wave and they're up XP. But the blinks were relatively even and no one goes down, so it obviously could have been significantly worse.
Absolutely. Right now, it's really bad for D-Dog, who just can't even approach the creeps to try to get some hits in. Sports are cool, just bullying him back, especially with the Brimstone online. The Phantom Rush to subjugate as well. Oh, no! Just barely misses the grasp to get the final kill. The leaping to the gates, more like leaping for his life there, is D-Dog once more.
Yeah, D-Dog, a nice blink right at the last second. Obviously not going to be able to siphon that soul out of the Greystone there. But losing out on this much early, especially on a pick where you should have been, you know, winning lane, right? You don't win the exact level 1, but once you get that level 2, you get those slows, you're able to play these extended fights a lot longer. You should be winning that lane, but just was not patient enough, right? Couldn't even wait for the level 2. But now gank coming through from BN Bears.
All right, a massive melee here in the duo lane as Dino goes diving through. They do find onto Monarch, then he has to expend the blink to get out as the rounds were cooking him, and a dive comes through from Ferguson. He knows his life is spent, but he does go captain to captain, mano y mano, to find the elimination. BN Bears with a little bit of cleanup duty won't be able to get much more as the rest of the team backs out.
Yeah, 1 for 2 in total there. Ferguson going forward, landing the second kill, knowing that BN Bears was already behind him and there was no way out. Just committing to it and being able to get that kill before he goes down, I think is really good and extremely valuable. Now in the off lane, D-Dog has to be careful. Sports Are Cool is back. And I'd love to see if we can get a check on that. I'd imagine Fire Blossom pretty close to being finished at this point with how much CS and that early kill is done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you know how that Sephiroth can scale. The more souls he gets, the stronger he becomes. 32 CS on him already. So that's pretty good here at the 6-minute mark. Dino just doing everything he can to clear his jungle camps and get to that level 6 so that recrunch comes online.
Yeah, and once you get that recrunch, that is a big deal because that's when you can start getting those empowered knockups, right? Obviously, the passive on that ult, being able to get those empowered abilities is really strong because you have the extended dash that can sort of pull people back into your team if you get good positioning. You get enhanced clear off of the true damage and the sort of full damage off of your left crunch. And then obviously the biggest one is the knockup, right? On that right crunch, being able to put people into the air after already stunning them with your dash is just such a strong CC combo.
Okay, there's the knock, just barely whiffing Monarch. The crown might be falling off of his head here soon. The skirmishes continue over here in the duo lane, and here comes Dino. He's stomping his way through. He goes with the forward crush. He goes with the left and the right. So much damage being onputted to Monarch there, and the Ferguson with a knock from downtown. Who is there? It's you, dead friend, and Monarch gets eliminated.
Yeah, and Blax makes it out barely with his life. Nice fly trap there, though, from Nikki. Picks up 1.
Yeah, then a late rotation from the mid lane, but does find the cleanup kill onto the robot. The Vine strangling him, but the counter rotation from Simba there. He's hanging on a cliff and sending tricky Nikki back to the fountain. Ferguson, though, is the one that comes up with the goods. The fight yet not over there as BN Bears is called for security duty to protect that tier 1 tower. He's seen some low health bars, though. He could go for the dive in. Elects to just go get the gold buff and maybe get out.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw that there. Simba actually body blocked the first dagger, which had that execution mark on it, right? And BN Bears was able to land the second one, but Ferguson makes it out with just a sliver of HP. But now Piscarello going down, not respecting the Kalari, right, who's still there, still has the red buff, still has those dagger slows,
Mhm.
maybe thought that they were tankier than they were.
Yeah, a bit of hubris maybe after that fight. They're like, we can stick around maybe one more wave, right? But the one more wave meant their deaths are not worth it in any respects. But now the Fang Tooth has been opened up. I was going to talk about this, my friend. Neither Kalari or Crunch are really like the Fang Tooth kind of junglers, right? They really need those picks to come through to open up that objective. And there we go. Team Blax, the Legends, finding their first objective of the series.
Yeah, and I think knowing that Piscarello goes down, that Ferguson's already backed, and that they have full priority means that they're just able to grab that before anyone. But Monarch, very low. Second knock hits.
Yes, now, the jump stasis bomb whiffs this
more.
time. The rewind, though, onto Blax. But BN Bears, he is wary, too. The danger now comes in for the rest of his squad. The mark, the dagger, and Ferguson gets deleted there. A nice rotation from BN Bears, who stuck around just to get that kill.
Yeah, and a really nice follow-up, right? Obviously, you thought you had the damage, but this is something about the Wraith, right? If you don't already have that poke down, the damage early on isn't that same sort of one-shot potential that you have in the late game, right? You kind of rely on getting this poke out to be able to follow up or having someone to help you. And when you don't, you can take those extended fights, but if you get caught out in the middle of it, it becomes so hard. But now Dino with the dive.
Wow, taking a lot of tower damage there. I believe the ult is still online for the side of D-Dog, so he'll be fine. And now BN Bears with the follow-up sees a juicy Dino there. He wants that large dinosaur steak, but the forward crunch able to get out. The colossal blow expended to knock back the bear, and it will be nothing for nothing over here in the offlane.
Yeah, and the Greystone had the blink, but did not actually have the ult, had used it in a prior fight. So I like the dive that he didn't have the ult, but I think with the Greystone still having the blink definitely does make that risky. And it's a good thing they were able to get out, right? Because if BN Bears was able to pick up another kill, then I think that Kalari is just going to be able to ramp up way too quickly. So have to be very cautious. Have to keep your vision line up to make sure that you're not going down or too early to this Kalari. Right in the mid lane, though.
Yeah, we do have another rotation there from Dino on the Crunch, finding the Fairy once again. It's a prime target for Crunch to get that mid laner down with no escape to her name. But yeah, well done there. The blink's still up, though, for the Fairy, so that is a bit of a good news there for the mid laner here. BN Bears still hanging around, though, in this duo lane.
Yeah. I really don't like how aggressive Blax is being at this level 5, right? You don't have the res yet. You're not able to pick yourself back up, which means that if you get caught going for that vision, if you get caught too far up, like we just saw, if you get put into that containment fence, you're forced to blink, you're forcing resources out, and you're just giving more than you need to for really no reason.
We do have a rotation now here for the side of Margot Robbie team. They are taking the first mini prime of the map, and it will go to the side of Sports Are Cool. They really want to push the issue here in the offlane. They know that this is a favorable matchup for Sports Are Cool. So yeah, having that extra buff there on the Phantom, on the Reaper, will be able to push that lane a little bit more and maybe take a tower.
Yeah, and the Sevarog now finally finished with that Fire Blossom means that not only are you going to have wave control, you're going to have so much skirmish potential. You're going to have a lot more fighting potential because of the extra damage you deal. Also, just having all the armor, having all that health finished makes you a force to be reckoned with. And I forget, I think also has hit the 40 soul mark now. I forget if it was 60. I didn't get quite a great look at it the last time. Tricky, though.
Yeah, under duress there is Dino just saying hi, just giving a little, knock to the noggin, just let him know that he is around. So he always keep looking over your shoulder. Oh, he found in a dark alleyway was Dino. He decides to forward crunch out of there, doesn't want to take that fight just yet. He may be, though, hanging around once more as the wave is pushing under his duo lane.
Yeah, and BN Bears is here, knows that Dino is vulnerable.
Does go for the flower, does have the mark, the forward crunch escape, but the blink as well has to be expended. Now he's feeling comfortable enough to go for the recall as his team is there to back him up.
Yeah, and I think you could have gotten, another auto or dagger there before you had to use the ult if you're the Kalari. But just I think thinking that he had the damage with that death mark, but just wasn't quite there in time.
Sports are cool, just doing so much damage. The siphon coming out, the leap has to be brought out there for the side of D-Dog. He does go back in, he does have the ultimate, the fly trap there, the blink now forced out for the side of Sports are cool. 3 members here trying to take down this Sevrog. Will he be able to get back under his tower? Yes, he will, but on the flip side, the dinosaur has made himself known once again, finding Monarch and Blax the Legend, a twofer here for the crunch.
Yeah, and with the entire duo lane down, that should be a pretty easy Fangtooth, right? You're taking the first outer tower if you're the Sevarog. You're taking that fight. Little fight in the off lane. D-Dog forced in that stone forged soul, but won't be able to follow up, right? Simba, obviously, he does still have the ultimate. Or wait, no, he doesn't. Sorry. I guess he used it in that fight, but if you're out of burst, if you're out of ultimates, then it's bad. Wait, was that a steal?
No. Do you know?
Yeah,
oh, yes,
no.
it was.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
The Bears got the Fangtooth.
Wow, a massive steal there for that slippery assassin, able to secure the second Fangtooth for their squad. And now maybe the tables are turning here, Knock, because Tricky Nicky is able to find an elimination in the mid lane. Margot Robbie, aka Ferguson, is here trying to back the rest of the squad up, but there are 3 members laddering into him, so he is firmly on the retreat now. Looks like Team Margot Robbie, they're down 5. No, not Team Margot Robbie. Team Black's down 5 kills, but up 2 objectives though, so they have a lifeline in this game.
Yeah, and the tower, I don't know. I think it was just on a sliver of HP, right? I was like looking at the health bar, waiting for it to fall down, but it just stood. I don't think there were any pixels of blue left. Is how low it was. One more auto should have done it. Oh, Gasparello!
Wow,
From downtown.
A support v support battle. You love to see it, but I think the Decker will always come out on top in that engagement, finding his opposite number and a solo bolo there in the jungle. Now Monarch here would be on his lonesome in the duo.
Yeah, and Piscarello almost landing another long-range bomb there would have done a lot of damage to Monarch's health bar. And okay, this is the build that's a lot more common to see on these crit carries. Is the Vanquisher now into Spectra, right? Sort of replacing the Sky Splitter.
There it is, the lockdown, the containment fence. Yeah, there was nothing he could do, and it is Ferguson who comes up with the goods once again. BN Bears now here for janitorial duty. Once more, the execute does go through, and he finds it, takes down the captain, Margot Robbie, and gets a 2-for for himself. The alarm bells have been sound, though. The reinforcements are in, but BN Bears can be so shifty on that Kalari. He's jumping, he's bobbing, he's weaving. They are able to dodge out of there and get back to the safety of their tower. Tricky Nicky now comes through on the counter rotation, puts in the fly trap. Simba goes in for a desperate black hole and immediately obliterated once again. Maybe not a well-timed ultimate there, just a bedlam over there in the duo lane.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be able to get that that damage down before the Kalari could take him out, but a nice double dagger there snipes him out of midair. Really nice play though from the Kalari to sort of clean up the fight. Although I do wonder why Monarch was going forward there instead of just sitting under his tower, knowing he was in a bit of a 2v1. I wonder if it was more of a miscommunication, right? BN Bears saying, you know, you can fight, I'm going to be over there, but Monarch not realizing how quickly he goes down.
Or it was all just a bait, because BN Bears was able to get up a couple of kills there and kind of lower the deficit that they find themselves in. Also, I want to mention we had a little skirmish in the jungle between D-Dog and Sports Are Cool as Sports was going for the invade, but D-Dog was able to snag the red buff there at the final moments. So good for them to try to get themselves back into it. The knock does land into Blax once again. This tower dangerously low, so if they go for it, they could go for the dive. There is the peekaboo, and the knock onto BN Bears does not have the health pool to sustain in this fight. Has to back out, but Tricky Nicky once again with a good rotation to stave off any advance.
Yeah, and BN Bears does not want to stop coming over here. Ferguson has to be careful.
Does come out of the surprise to surprise, gets out of the little gag grenade there and able to find the 1v1. Monarch just not up to snuff yet here.
Yeah, and Tricky Nicky just backing that whole time. Maybe thought that the Drongo didn't need him, but definitely needed the backup there. Unfortunately going down, and Black's on the run as well. Ferguson has just been so good on this Wraith this entire game, dancing in and out of vision, dancing between these fights, waiting for his moment, waiting to land these snipes, waiting for people to overextend.
There it is, folks. The second mini prime of the game going the way of Margot Robbie and company. We'll see who it landed on, whether it be the Crunch or the Sevarog. I will make a point here as I've watched Simba rotating around the map. He is just putting pressure on pressure to all these towers. He got the mid tier 2 to half health.
Yeah. Really nice plays there. And I think the biggest thing about getting the mini prime here is that the Fangtooth is coming up relatively soon, right? It should be up in like a couple seconds now. So if you're able to secure that, the mini prime right before the Fang, it's going to give you a massive, massive benefit in the fight, right? Having someone with those extra raid boss stats, having someone who just has so many more resistances and power is going to make the fight a lot easier.
And it's going to be a crucial one for the side of Team Margot Robbie because they don't want to give over a third Fangtooth for the side of Blax. But now we have a fight in the mid lane here as all members are going for it. They're gaming for the Kallari first, has to use the execute to get out of dodge. But Sports Are Cool finds what he came for and takes the soul of the opposite carry. Blax the Legend falls down as well. It's just a bloodbath here in the mid lane. Now they're looking for more as D-Dog, he's on the run, he's on the retreat, takes a rock to the head, but can he get the boulder as well? Expends the Stoneforge Soul, but I think that is just delaying the inevitable, and deleted there is the Knight of the Realm, and this will open up the third Fang.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, right? With that Orb Prime already on your Sevarog, who is 2.5 items, has that Razorback, is just so tanky, and it's so hard to take him out, especially with that benefit. Not again. He can't keep getting away with this.
Are you kidding me, ladies and gentlemen? He will gladly expend his life for another steal from the Slippery Assassin. But Tricky Nicky now, they are going to expend their life. So yes, they gave over the Fangtooth, but 3 members go down on the other end.
Yeah, and I don't know about Tricky Nicky walking in there. I think after the after that initial kill onto the Kallari, you just leave the Kallari to die, right? Knowing that you can't save them, knowing that, you know, you got that Fang, you can at least be happy with that, right? You should not have been able to do that a second time, but you did. But then running in and just to watch yourself die again, I think is kind of pointless, right? You're never going to be able to save Kallari, who already had to use the blink, already had to use that triple jump just to get out. I don't think there's any real way you can defend them, especially not without the fly trap.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe just a little bit of misplay there. For now, though, even though Team Margot Robbie's been giving a lot of objectives over in terms of the Fang Teeth, all of their tier 1 towers are still up and looking very healthy as well. So they have firm control of the map here as they can just kind of do whatever they want. As you see, Dino just trying to get the 5 camp here, decides to do a little knock up and get out, but the fight could be on.
Yeah. So many people in this right side jungle is waiting.
Yeah, there we go. Now the skirmishes is here. The Siphon does come through. The black hole over the top. Nobody can get to him up there, but it is BN Bears who comes up with the elimination, finds Piscarillo. There is the support down, but Sports Are Cool does find the rebuttal and takes down the assassin once more. Simba just here in the backline, just poking everybody with those astral boulders there. Does decide to blink forward and finds the elimination as well. Can they find the last one? And once again, an ace here for the side of Margot Robbie, and only the support gone for them.
Yeah, it wasn't quite clean, but I'd say only losing 1 member in that entire fight is a massive upside. Dino already running back, and they're thinking about the Orb Prime. You can see Ferguson just hovering around, waiting for Dino to get there, and they're going to start that right up. Really nice plays, I think, in that entire fight, but definitely from Simba right on the backside, being able to use that black hole, and then just going in with that time ban, getting all these cooldowns back, getting 1, getting 2, blinking forward, and then finishing off the rest.
Yeah, and I'm liking this item build here from the Crunch, going with the Salvation Third, just adding a little bit more tank ability so that they can stay in the fight, especially when they are going for this kind of guerrilla warfare is Blax the Legend team. So a good way to utilize their advantage off of that team fight to secure the Prime. Now they'll go for a reset, get maybe another item or 2, and then find what lane they want to push to maybe bring it all the way home.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing to note here is just how much layered CC that this team has, right? At this point, with this kill lead, with the Orb Prime, even if they don't have the Fangs, there are enough objectives down that I think a clean ace means the game, right? And anything short of that is at least going to be an inhibitor, is at least going to be a devastating loss of resources. And if you're looking at how you come back into the game, the best way to do that is just survive right now, right? Buy time and wait out the rest of this orb.
Yeah, don't give over any needless kills. That's something we've been talking about time and time again for the side of Team Blax, just kind of forfeiting their lives unnecessarily, but a full group up here for the side of Margot, Robbie, and squad. So they're going to be looking to force the issue on one of these towers. We'll see how the fight commences from here.
Yeah, and you can see Sports are cool just in that left lane, pushing it in, making sure that he's able to get these extra towers, making sure that he's able to sort of keep the pressure up, even if his team isn't able to push the rest of the lanes, even if they aren't able to get the towers themselves, knowing just how strong that Sevarog is going to be able to get them.
Ooh, the execute finds Piscarillo once again. Ferguson has to expend the flash, but a blink follow-up as well. Ferguson under duress here. Can he take this 1v1? The shrapnel cannon does come through, but now Blink's the legend there to support his carry, as all supports should. But on the other side, it doesn't even matter. It was all just a bait because the mid inhib has gone down.
Yeah, and you do risk that, obviously, pushing separated. You do risk getting picked, but they weren't able to defend themselves under tower, so it is just going to be a 3-for-2. Obviously, the kill lead here still in favor of Team Simba, Team Margot Robbie, sorry. But I don't know. I think giving over those kills, just playing that aggression, right, is what they couldn't do this fight. But it's just going to be Monarch taken out, and the core should follow in just a matter of seconds. Blax going in, Simba. Black hole just to look cool, I think.
Styling on them there at the end as the core once again smashed into a million pieces. Team Margot Robbie wins this one emphatically again, so they go 2-0 into the series. They move on in our bracket. Team Black's the legends. Thanks for playing. We'll see you next time. You don't have to go home. You want to stay at your computer, folks. This was a great game by all accounts. I mean, Margot Robbie, their team just looked like a well-oiled machine out there, friend.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the biggest sort of upset here was just how well BN Bears was able to do despite losing some of those early kills in the early game, right? Was able to take it back and look really good for a while, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. Even with all the steals, even with all those kills, you weren't able to secure the rest of the game, unfortunately. But I think one of the funny things is that they actually beat their previous time record, right? The first game was 27 minutes and 30 seconds. This one was only 24. So it seems that Team Ferguson just wants to speedrun this entire tournament.
Yeah, and I think that's off the back of the crunch, right? The crunch really setting the tempo there for them because they can go for those early ganks, because they can go for those early jungle invades. So the other teams are going to have to watch out. Maybe they ban other teams will be looking at this and then they think they have to ban the crunch as in the draft strategy there. So definitely showing their hand a little bit here is Margot Robbie, but they're going to be looking to make a deep run into the tournament. Folks, we still have more matches here for the BFC upcoming. We're going to head to a short break, but we'll see you on the other side.